A while back, Dr. Tressie McMillan Cotton said that blonde isn't a color, it's a signifier. And I've been thinking about another signifier. And I would like to say that red bone / yellow bone, whichever, those are also not colors, they're signifiers. And I think about all the artists, mostly male, but also some female, who use those terms as a shorthand for beautiful. Like, I have a yellow bone in my car or some shit. They don't have to say, I have a beautiful woman in my car, I have a 10 in my car. The yellow bone is supposed to imply the beauty. So it also shows like the value that is placed on being yellow or red, that there's value attached to it that isn't necessarily about being attractive. Also, who gets to be yellow bone, red bone, light skin is also kind of contingent on like racialization, whether your features are considered more European versus West African, and gender, whether you are perceived as male or female. Because like, why is somebody like Megan Thee Stallion considered brown skin or like not perceived as light skin in the same way somebody like Anderson .Paak is perceived as light skin? We should also take into consideration that not only is Anderson .Paak male, his features are seen as light for a man because we associate lightness with femininity and darkness with masculinity. That's not even a black thing. Like it's pervasive in a lot of different cultures. Like there were studies. We perceive women as having lighter skin than they do, and we perceive men as having darker skin than they do. So not only is Anderson .Paak perceived as being light skinned because he is male, we see people who are racialized as more black or West African, specifically West and Central African, as being darker. There's a content creator, Jouelzy. She talks about colorism a lot, and she is very, very light skinned. But when she talks about colorism, there are always comments about her being jealous of light skinned people, even though she's one of them. And although she's light skinned, she also has very West African features. So she gets light skin points deducted from her, I guess. Which also reminds me, a few months back when Chili said that she was caramel skinned and not dark skinned. And like how her being perceived as racially ambiguous and non-black to an extent sort of lightens her in the public perception and in her own perception. And I think a lot of people were kind of confused by her defining herself as that, especially coming up in TLC, where her bandmates are significantly lighter than her. So yeah, that's just my thoughts on like the term yellow bone and how light skin and dark skin is racialized and gendered. And another thing, the way that Megan Thee Stallion is often described as brown skin as a way to sort of distinguish her from biracial women who are often very similar in complexion to her. Tyla is often called light skin, I guess in a way to distinguish her from monoracial women who are very often not that different in complexion to her. So even terms like brown skin and light skin are signifiers in that sort of way that it's describing something that isn't being said explicitly.